for nearly 3 decades and counting. We have witnessed Monster Jam grow to be the birthplace of legends, where the valiant have vied for victory, their mighty machines pushing the limits, atop earthen mounds of invention, hallowed grounds where championships were waged, won, and lost. These pioneers, these icons, have dedicated their lives to the sport. Extraordinary men and women who shaped Monster Jam into a phenomenon around the globe. At last, their feats, their triumphs, their histories have a home. A place where courage, ingenuity, and excellence are realized and rewarded. A place where legends and heroes can live on forever. The Monster Jam Hall of Fame.
Monster Jam fans, what an incredible notch in our sports legacy last night as we inducted the first 2 members of the Monster Jam Hall of Fame, the icon Dennis Anderson and the voice of Monster Jam, Scott Douglas. Now, for 30 years, Monster Jam has been on top of the motorsports world. Millions of fans worldwide have enjoyed the world's best driver athletes compete at the highest level and witness the amazing technology revolution that gives Monster Jam trucks their superpower that defy physics and soar to unimaginable heights. The Monster Jam Hall of Fame recognizes the individuals whose heart, passion, and dedication have left lasting remarks on our sport, and those whose contributions have continually redefined what Monster Jam is, what it was, and what it will be for years to come. We're so privileged to spend the weekend with Dennis, Scott, and their families and distinguished guests in the celebration of achievement. And now, for you, Orlando fans, and those tuning in from across the country and around the world, streaming live, I present to you the inaugural members of the Monster Jam Hall of Fame, Dennis Anderson and Scott Douglas.
It's great to be here with everyone, and we were offered the opportunity with the Hall of Fame induction ceremony officially last night. The wonderful people at Feld and Monster Jam have literally made this, Dennis, the Hall of Fame weekend. And so they asked us to come up and include this great crowd here tonight in what happened last night. For me, the most special moment of my career, for sure, in my professional career in Monster Jam. And I think about you. This building has seen some of your greatest wins, some of your most incredible freestyles, but I don't know if there's ever been a better moment for you than last night, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Let's talk about what you felt and about the incredible ceremony here last night and the honor of us being inducted into the Monster Jam Hall of Fame.
It was truly an honor, Scott. I got to tell you that, buddy. You know, my whole family was here, and it was an emotional moment for all of us, for me, my fans. And, you know, it's been a long time, man. I'm almost 40 years that Gravedigger's been out here. You know, by the way, we have an anniversary coming up pretty quick. But, you know, the Hall of Fame and being the first, you know, the inductee into the Hall of Fame was just truly a staple in some of my historical moments that I didn't even know I was going to have. And there were so many people that were, you know, that I could have thanked, that I should have thanked. I just can't remember all of them. But I didn't forget my fans. I never forget them. So I did thank them, you know, because like I told them here last night, you know, you guys have been a pioneer of Monster Jam and Monster Trucks right along with me. This guy, right, Scott Douglas, has made me, all of my fans out there following me just by listening to this guy, making me somebody important out on the track, and me scattering my truck out on the track for you fans. That recipe brought us to where we are today. We started a Hall of Fame, and we have some very important people here with us today, too.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. And And that's another thing that I want to thank everybody at Feld Entertainment Monster Jam for. You know, everything they've had to do to bring the sport back and get these fans in here in today's world, and they do it in such an amazing professional manner, following every COVID protocol, and they still were able to pull this ceremony off. My daughters were brought in, my longtime colleague Greg Whitaker's here, your whole family here, and the list goes on, and the combination of drivers who are here live and then those who send in video messages for both you and I is something I'll remember for a long time. It was really special.
It was, and to have my kids come up and have them talk to the fans, and I just had to stop and really appreciate the pat on the back from my family last night, from Adam, Kristen, Ryan, Weston, my youngest one. I'm telling you, man, those guys really touched me last night. And it was a memorable moment for me that I'll never forget, and it was for my fans too.
And for those of you who weren't here, this big tough guy got a little choked up, or a little water in the eye there, especially first when your kids were paying tribute to you, but as you got up here and thanked everybody for this incredible career, and so much of it that has happened right here with these fans in Orlando.
Exactly, and when you talk about the Orlando is Gravedigger's house. I got to tell you that. There's a lot of good memories that's come out of this place for me. You know, for one thing, way back, you know, my wife that I've been married to for 16 years right now, she came from this stadium right here. She was one of the trophy girls. You know, and I met her right here, and I married her. She's here. We have an anniversary soon coming up. But, you know, we've talked enough about me today. Last night, that's all we've heard is Dennis Anderson, Gravedigger, the Hall of Fame. We have some other people to talk about.
Well, that's just it. They wanted us to really bring all of you fans here today in on what happened last night, because it was a magical moment, the inaugural class of the new Monster Jam Hall of Fame. And so we've been delighted to do that and catch you up to speed. But that's not the only reason they asked Dennis and I to come back out here. It is our special privilege and honor to announce the names of the next class of inductees to the Monster Jam Hall of Fame.
Gary Porter is a Monster Jam legend.
He was by my dad's side from the bottom. Not many drivers can do what he did for as many years as he did it.
What he could do in a small arena in a Monster Jam truck was just amazing. He always knew where he was, and he could always really push the limits without going across the boundaries or really putting the truck in danger. He was a smooth driver, really good racer, and he just put on a great show.
What a piece of driving. What an incredible save that was, Mike.
He was always very consistently good, but his equipment was also consistently top-notch, well-maintained. There was never any faltering in that. And in fact, Mr. Consistency was one of his nicknames.
And every time he was on the track, he was a competitor. He always wanted to win. He always showed the best foot forward because he had great equipment and he was a great ability on the track. He showed other people the way.
All right. And you know who it is? My man. This was my wingman for the last 30 years of my career. Gary Porter. He is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, buddy. I love you, man. I got to tell you, this guy basically rode in my toolbox with me. If I ran out of fuel beside the road, this guy had fuel. He had the siphon hose. I don't care what we done. We have one heck of a journey together in our monster truck career down the road that we couldn't even tell you guys. We don't have enough time in here tonight to tell you. But I am truly honored to have him standing beside me on this stage right now, because I probably wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Gary Porter keeping me in order down the road years ago when we were paving the road for what Monster Jam is today.
Wow. Man, I just don't know what to say, man. Thank you, Dennis. Man, Keith, Andrew, Bill Easterly, everybody at Field Entertainment. I mean, we love you guys, and we couldn't have been here without you. Most of all these great fans all these years. And, Dennis and I started back. I started in 1985, and I think he was a year or two before me. But we didn't have two nickels to rub together between us. Well, we had a desire, we had a passion for these monster trucks, and man, I don't know what it was, but something just kept on driving me to get out there and do that weekend after weekend, and to get to come down here in the winter months to the great state of Florida, man, right here in this stadium. A lot of history was made right here, and continues to be made, and man, it's going to get emotional for me if I stay up here much longer, but man, I just can't thank my buddy, my friend, Dennis Anderson here enough. Man, Scott Douglas, I just can't thank him enough, and I got to go back a little bit further. Joe Lowe's not here with us anymore in flesh, but he is in spirit. We couldn't have done it without announcers like him, Army Armstrong. Man, all you guys have made us look so much better than what we actually ever were. And all these great fans, for some reason, they stayed behind us all these years. I started in the Carolina Crusher, then sold it, and man, had the honor and the pleasure of driving a Gravedigger truck for a number of years. And in the end of my career in the Carolina Crusher, man, it's couldn't be any better than this, man. You guys are awesome.
Let me make it clear, because of obviously the pandemic and all the adjustments that had to be made, last night's induction ceremony was actually for the class of 2020. Gary will be a part of the Monster Jam Hall of Fame class of 2021. More details on the actual induction will be coming up. I know Dennis and I are both looking forward to joining you when that happens, but we love this moment for you. Congratulations, Gary.
Hey, thank you. I just can't thank you enough. Man, you talking about getting caught off guard. I was coming down here for my buddy Dennis and for you, Scott, and I had no idea, Keith, when he called me and asked me if I wanted to come down here and be a part of y'all being inaugurated into the Hall of Fame, I was like, man, that'll be awesome. And it was just an honor to be a part of last night, and then to be standing here on the stage and joining y'all in that Hall of Fame for Monster Jam. I mean, it's beyond words.
Did I show you the awesome ring they gave us last night?
Hey, I got to be sure to get one of those.
Well, congratulations one more time, Orlando, to an inductee to the 2021 Monster Jam Hall of Fame class, Gary Porter. And Gary, when that induction ceremony for 2021 does happen, you won't be alone. Let's see who else is going in the class of 2021 to the Monster Jam Hall of Fame.
Mike Wales was the director of the Monster Jam fleet, and which was in charge of all the monster trucks, maintaining the crew guys, the shops, and everything that you see on TV every weekend or at a live event. He had a hand in all of it.
He was there as a driver in the very early stages of Monster Jam and progressed into the person that wanted to be responsible for lots of drivers and be responsible for lots of trucks. So the Monster Jam trucks and the birth of Monster Jam was literally created on him.
Mike was an innovator, and he was the original architect of what has become the largest fleet of race vehicles in the entire world.
Monster Jam was his passion. Monster Trucks was his passion. He lived it. He breathed it every day.
His legacy is still around. His presence is still around, and that's why he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
How appropriate. Mike Wales, rest in peace. But I know he's smiling really big down upon us now, and we're thrilled to have here with us his wife for his entire life, really, Peggy Wales, also with us, and she'll be accepting on behalf of Mike. And Peggy, we'll let you grab the microphone. And for you and Mike, Monster Jam was both of your professional lives. You've all been such a part of it. We know what it means to you, what it meant to Mike. Tell me about this moment right now and how honored you are that Mike will be in the 2021 class going into the Monster Jam Hall of Fame.
I am so honored. This was all he wanted. He wanted to make sure everybody was safe and go out and make the sport what it is today.
When you think about it, a lot of people know Mike, because our fans, and we talk about it all the time, especially with the internet today, they go back and they look at all the old videos when Mike drove. but I'm not sure a lot of fans realize that it was after Mike put the steering wheel away that he had a lasting legacy. Virtually every driver that the fans cheer on today was almost handpicked by Mike. He brought them in. He trained them. That legacy is going to live on, and I know that you're proud of it. Tell me a little bit about Mike's dedication to this sport and how it started and how it developed for both of you.
From the minute he saw the liquidator truck, he was done. All he wanted to do was be a part of this sport, and when the opportunity came, we jumped. We sold everything and moved to Illinois, and pretty much what it is from here on out.
And you two have been a big part of it, and all of us, everybody's always loved having you at the shows. What's it like to be in this sport and to be able to do it with your lifelong partner? That had to be special for you. Tell me about that.
It is an awesome experience. You know what to talk about at the dinner table.
That's perfect. Well, we're going to let you guys take a few pictures together. Orlando fans, please help us. Wait. All right, wait a minute. We're doing this on the fly because Mr. Anderson's got something to say.
Yeah, I can't let this slide by. I got to say something about Mike and Peggy. You know, from back in the beginning, Mike Wales and this young lady right here beside me, I'm going to tell you, man, they helped me mentally, physically, financially, down the road with Gravedigger, back before we even built this big fleet together. And I'm going to tell you, man, Mike, I think about him every time I see the decals on the side of our trucks, every time I go to the SEMA show or PRI, because he was my wingman, and I was his wingman, and I surely miss him.
Monster Jam fans, please join us with a huge reception for the next class, the 2021 Monster Jam Hall of Fame inductees, Gary Porter and Mike Wales.
And hey, if I could just have a word, man, Mike, he was a friend. Man, he helped us more than anybody could ever imagine. And he wasn't out here on the track, you know, that a lot of people knew. But behind the scenes, I mean, he was Monster Jam. You know, I don't know how many times I had to call him every week, you know, about something. He would call me some weeks to scold me, some weeks to praise me. But I'm going to tell you what, Mike Wales, I mean, he was a true gentleman. And this makes it that much more of an honor being inducted with him than even before. It's awesome. Thank you.
Well said, Gary.
Monster Jam fans, you have witnessed it live today. What an incredible announcement. It is my honor to present to you the second class into the Monster Jam Hall of Fame, Mike Wells, and the creator of the Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter.